They got promoted faster than anyone expected. And instead of feeling secure, they started feeling exposed. From the outside, it looked like momentum. Young, senior title, large scope. People reacted predictably. That's huge. You're set. But privately, there was a different calculation running. There are only so many senior seats, only so many director-level openings. And once you're sitting in one, the question changes. Not how high can I go, but what happens if I fall out? The fear wasn't about competence. It was about market math. At mid-level, there are dozens of openings. At senior level, there are a handful. And hiring at that level is cautious. Expensive roles invite scrutiny. Here's the part that makes it heavier. If someone with a senior title loses their job, stepping down isn't simple. On paper, it looks like flexibility. In reality, employers often interpret it differently. When a director applies for a manager role, hiring teams start asking quiet questions. Will this person really accept reporting to someone else? Will they feel under-leveled? Will they leave the moment something closer to their old title appears? Even if none of that is true, the assumption exists. Perception shapes decisions. So the senior title becomes a filter. It screens you out of lower roles. Not because you can't do them, because employers think you won't stay in them. That's the tension I've seen repeatedly. From the outside, it looks like acceleration. From the inside, it can feel like being over-labeled. This person once admitted something subtle. They weren't afraid of losing the job. They were afraid of losing the title and discovering the market didn't have an equivalent seat waiting. That's different. That's structural anxiety. Rapid internal promotion often means most experience is built inside one ecosystem, one culture, one operating model. Authority inside that system can be strong, but authority doesn't always transfer automatically. When companies hire senior leaders, they're not just hiring skill. They're hiring proof across environments. If someone rose quickly inside one organization, hiring managers may wonder how portable that leadership really is. Again, they won't say it bluntly. They'll simply move carefully. Combine that with title inflation. Now the resume says director. The open role says manager. Even if the responsibilities are similar, the mismatch creates friction. Some employers assume overqualification equals flight risk. They assume dissatisfaction. They assume short tenure. So they choose the safer candidate whose title aligns perfectly. Alignment feels predictable. Predictability feels safer. This is where the fear becomes real. If a layoff happens, options are thinner than they appear. Equivalent roles are scarce. Lower roles may filter you out automatically. And holding out for the perfect match extends unemployment. It's not dramatic, it's practical. I've seen people in this position shift their behavior subtly once they realize it. They become more protective of image, more careful in meetings, less willing to take visible risks, because the downside feels larger now. If they stumble publicly, the cost isn't just internal reputation. It's external positioning. Another layer adds weight. Equity. Higher titles often come with ownership incentives. Vesting schedules stretch years forward. Walking away early means forfeiting potential gains. Staying means tying your financial upside to one company's stability. That connection increases emotional investment. It also reduces mobility, because leaving prematurely feels expensive. So now the person is sitting in a high-level role, aware of two realities at once. They're successful, and they're structurally exposed. Here's an example I observed. A person rose quickly into a senior leadership position before turning 35. They managed large teams, reported directly to top executives. Externally, their trajectory looked dominant. Then the company hit a contraction phase. No immediate layoffs, just tightening, hiring freezes, budget reviews. They began quietly exploring the market. Several recruiters responded positively until compensation and title alignment came up. Roles one level down were available, but some hiring managers hesitated. One asked directly, "Would you genuinely be comfortable stepping into a smaller scope long term?" It wasn't hostile. It was cautious, because turnover at that level is expensive. No one wants to hire someone who feels like they're taking a temporary step down. That question lingered. Even if the answer was yes, proving it was harder. How do you convince someone you're not anchored to status? Especially when your resume signals upward momentum only. Another scenario. A senior manager lost their role during restructuring. They applied broadly, including to roles slightly below their previous level. Some applications didn't move forward. Later, through informal conversations, they learned something telling. Hiring teams assumed they would demand more authority later, or leave once something higher opened. The rejection wasn't about skill. It was about assumed dissatisfaction. That's the quiet trap. When you rise quickly, the market assumes you only move upward. If you try to move sideways or slightly down, it questions your intent. So the title becomes both asset and liability. Prestige increases. Flexibility decreases. The emotional impact is subtle. It's not panic. It's awareness. Awareness that there are fewer equivalent seats. Awareness that employers interpret senior titles cautiously. Awareness that stepping down isn't as simple as it sounds. There's a turning point that sometimes arrives quietly. The realization that titles are signals, not identities. That maintaining optionality matters more than defending designation. When someone internalizes that, they start thinking differently. They expand networks outside their company earlier. They diversify exposure across industries. They build credibility that isn't tied to one structure, not reactively, proactively. Because the real security isn't the title, it's portability. Portability across levels, portability across systems. Early promotion compresses time. It accelerates income and visibility. But it also narrows the funnel of comparable roles. And when employers believe you won't accept less, that funnel narrows further. From the outside, it looks like success. Inside, it can feel like standing on a smaller platform than expected. Stable, as long as nothing shifts. But aware that if it does, the landing options are limited. That's the fear you observed. Not collapse, not incompetence. Just the quiet understanding that rising early changes the rules of movement. And once you carry a senior title, the market assumes you intend to keep it. Whether that assumption is true or not,